Today, you're going to learn the 3 most common practices that cost female startup founders deals when pitching to investors, and get an instant, almost unfair advantage when competing against men for investor funding. Author of Close with Your Open, the Pitchfreaks Guide to 10-Second Pitches That Sell, Silicon Valley Marketing Launch Pro, Antonio White, the Pitch Freak, will offer insights from an analysis of over 100 hours of listening and evaluating real-life pitches with seasoned Silicon Valley investors from both male and female founders in the US, Africa, and India from May through June 2021. Antonio volunteers 1 day each week specifically to support female founders in crafting their pitches to acquire funding from angel and venture capital investors, as well as through participating in pitch competitions. Female founder pitch freaks have individually won $1 million deals in public and private sector pitch competitions. So let's give a big Golden Gate Breakfast Club welcome to Antonio White, the Pitch Freak.
Okay.
Thank you, Tony, for that terrific introduction, as usual. Thank you, Mr. President. Thank you, members of the Golden Gate Breakfast Club. I'm very honored to be able to come back and present to you again today. Today's presentation might be the most important presentation that I've made to date. And the reason why is because the opportunity is so great. The opportunity is so great on 2 levels. One, there is a tremendous economic opportunity by having more startups led by women. Number 2, there's incredible social impact as a result of having more women-led startups. And over the past 25 plus years of providing marketing, launch, and pitching, coaching and analysis, over the past, I'd say 3 months in particular, I've seen some trends happening that are both positive and negative. The positive of these trends are more women are pitching, which is good. The negative is that I see common practices being made by female founders that are absolutely costing them deals. And here's the challenge. Nobody's talking about this. You will not hear venture capital folks or investors talk about what I'm going to talk about today because it's impolite. People don't want to be rude when they're listening to a pitch from a female founder. People don't want to be marked with the idea of being a sexist when they're listening to a female founder. But how will female founders get more deals unless they hear the insights from those people who are giving them money? How will female founders figure out what they need to do in order to get more funding? Here is what's at stake. Let's take a quick look. The Harvard Business Review. We're familiar with this organization, I believe. Is this going to work here? No? Yes? No? Yes? Okay, well, here it is. Harvard published in 2019 that women-led startups received just 2.3% of funding in 2021. Just 2.3% of funding goes to women startups. Why is that? Why is that? If you have a daughter or a wife or a niece or an auntie, a woman who is important to you, I would pretty much guess that all of you would want them to succeed at the very highest possible level, right? Why is it that only 2.3% of VC funding went to female startups? I'm going to share that with you as we get towards the end of this presentation. This is what's called a hook. Pitch freak. Okay, pay attention. All right. The challenge here is that there are 3 practices here that are costing women deals. By the way, Mr. President, if you don't mind, can you please remind me that there's a 3-letter acronym? The 3-letter acronym?
For what?
That I need to be reminded of by the end of this presentation here, so I can reveal why female entrepreneurs are getting so little funding. Just remember the words Mount Tam. Mount Tam. Okay, terrific, good. All right, so let's get into it. The first practice that are costing female founders deals, the first practice is this is terrific. Prefacing the pitch. Prefacing the pitch. The number one mistake, most common mistake. I'm not even going to call it a mistake. It's the most common practice being made by female founders when they're asking for money. Now, I'm just going to check here real quick to make sure that I am seeing our wonderful Patricia. Patricia, I'm sure you know what prefacing the pitch is. And to the degree that you're not familiar with this here, you're going to know instantly as soon as I say it. Prefacing the pitch. Now, when you're trying to ask for investment from an investor, trying to ask for money for your business, the idea here is you have this opportunity. It's a limited time opportunity, a limited window of time that you have to ask. Often there are many other people also asking for money in these pitch competitions or in these large pitch events, right? So the number one practice that I see female founders making is prefacing the pitch. Prefacing the pitch means setting up the pitch. You know, like the old days with Johnny Carson here, he'd have a Hollywood star come on, and the Hollywood star would have a clip from their new movie, right? And Johnny would ask him, hey, you want to help give us a set? Does this pitch need a setup? Do you want to help us understand what we're about to see on screen, right? That setup of the trailer, right, is the explanation of what they're about to see, right? Prefacing the pitch is the same thing as setting up the clip for an interview. The trouble here is that there's an assumption being made. The assumption that female founders are making as a result of prefacing the pitch is that investors aren't aware of what they're doing. It's a terrible assumption because investors' whole jobs are to be very well informed about multiple areas, opportunities, especially when it comes to making money. Right? And as our great friend, our dear friend Ray Scioto says, if money's not the answer, please repeat the question. Please rephrase the question, I should say. Right? And so prefacing the pitch is the setup to the actual pitch. If you spend time setting up the pitch rather than just getting to it, you are wasting valuable time on information that is highly likely to already be known by the investor. What's the market opportunity? Right? Who's the audience? What is it that I'm doing? What industry am I in? What application am I using? What are the systems I have in place? Who are my team members? Right? All these things are things that your investors already likely know if you have any level of experience in the business with relationship to building a product. And by the way, this does not only apply to technology companies, it applies to any company seeking investment, by the way. I've helped people get $1 million deals that sell inflatable inner tubes for the river. The pitch competition was for a company called Fluzzle Tube, and I coached Fluzzle Tube on winning 2 pitches. One was for Marcus Lemonis. He has a TV personality. His show is called The Prophet. He has a company called Camping World, which is the #1 outdoor retailer on planet Earth. And the pitch competition for Fluzzle Tube, which is a new type of flotation device that connects with each other. We did a competition here. I coached them and wrote the pitch for them. They made the pitch and they won the competition. So now they're in Camping Worlds all over the place as a result of that. In addition, there's another competition that they entered, which it's called QVC's Big Ticket Program. And QVC's Big Ticket Program was a program for new businesses to be able to sell on QVC. And there's TV time, there's incredible benefits as far as being on that. You would imagine anybody selling a product that wants to sell a whole lot of that product would want to be on QVC. So winning a deal like that would be a big deal. Well, we did a new pitch for QVC, and they won that pitch as well. So these approaches here don't have to be a technology company in order to be effective. They can work for any company here. If they work for an inner tube floating on the river, can certainly work for just about any type of company. So prefacing the pitch means the setup. Forget setup. You don't need to set. Let's get right to the pitch. Let's get right to it. What's the opportunity? So that's number 1. Okay. Let's talk about number 2. Number 2. All right. Number two. The number two biggest practice that costs people deals, costs female founders in particular deals, is. Wish I had a drum roll. Drum roll, please. Okay. CV stacking. CV stacking. What is CV stacking? CV stacking goes something along the lines of this. When I graduated from Harvard in 1983 here at the top of my class, I was also the student body president here. I was in charge of the newspaper here. From there, I went to IBM. In IBM here, I ran several different organizations here for 12 years that were involved in this, and this here. I was very proud to have won this prestigious XYZ award here from who knows what, for who knows how long. From there, I went to 3 other organizations in which I did this one thing, this impressive thing, this impressive thing. By the way, I have 3 kids. I live in Bel Air, California here. I have a dog named Spot, and I also volunteer 30 hours a week for XYZ organization, which should hopefully pull your heartstrings. Now, that being said, I'd love to tell you what my pitch is today. CV stacking. CV stacking has nothing to do with your pitch. Nothing to do. If you're CV stacking here, you're again trying to justify the reason why you're even there to begin with pitching. This happens most predominantly with female founders. I think I have some ideas about it. I even talked to my own wife about it here. I sought counsel to figure out why is this happening. So I'm not going to claim to have any of the answers. I'm just going to tell you what the troubles are, where there's opportunities for you to improve. So if you forget the idea of prefacing your pitch, if you forget the idea of CV stacking, Patricia, give me a nod. CV stack, you hear this all the time, yes or no? Okay, perfect, good.
Yes, you are correct.
How do you get that? It's like a thing like Ed McMahon. Yes, sir, you are correct. I love it. Okay, great, terrific. All right, so CV stacking, avoid CV stacking. You do not need to justify your pitch by talking about your credentials here. Nobody cares about your credentials when it comes to making money here. Remember, Ray Scioto's phrase, right? If money is not the answer, please rephrase the question. Okay, terrific. What's the next area? Now, this area is sensitive. This area is tremendously sensitive. And I'm not being light about this. This last area here is called
See ya.
All right.
trauma dumping. What is trauma dumping? Trauma dumping is telling a deeply personal story that you would never tell in a traditional business environment with people whom you've never met. These are stories that I won't even get into, but I'm just hoping that you can imagine what is the most personal, tragic, difficult, painful story that you think a woman might be able to tell. And I will tell you right now, I have heard just about every one of those stories in the context of a pitch asking for money to build a software or hardware product. It is shocking to me to hear this. Now, there's a couple of reasons why I think this is happening. One is that on these programs that I'm involved with, which are all volunteer programs for the most part, some are people really looking for deals and others are for coaching purposes. There is areas where women are gathering amongst each other to coach each other on how to make pitches. And I've been lucky enough to be on many of these calls. And as a result of this, the idea is that because pitching is new to many women, they're a little bit unsure how to do it. And so commonly they share stories. And they share stories about how they started off, how they came up with the idea, what was involved. This practice here gets very deep because as these female founders are sharing these stories here, they get very personal. I don't know why they have to get so personal here, but the idea is terrible, terrible, terrible. Not because the situation themselves are terrible, because those are terrible too, but the idea of bringing these open wounds into a professional setting causes a couple problems, which you may imagine. You're expecting to see a pitch on some kind of software, hardware, business product. And then you realize that this person here has had a very traumatic personal experience. You know, a light version of this experience here is I am recovering from cancer. That's a light version. I spent years recovering from cancer, the hospitalization, the surgeries, all those things. That would be a joyful type of trauma dumping compared to some of the stories that I'm hearing. If you are going to start with your personal story, it's very similar to the pitch prefacing and the CV stacking. Your personal story does not matter in terms of getting an investor. As a matter of fact, it can harm your chances of getting funding from an investor. So you want to be avoiding trauma dumping. So what have we covered so far? Pitch prefacing here, we do not need a setup for your pitch. CV stacking here, your CV means nothing in terms of getting money from an investor, at least for getting them interested in the investor. And trauma dumping here is the easiest way to turn off an investor that you are seeking money from. Okay, so Patricia, let's get a sense here from you here. Are we on track with things that you see as well when you're coaching your very important clients as well? Would you validate or invalidate these concepts?
I would validate, because if you're looking for money, it's what's going to make a return for the people giving you money is what they care about.
Right.
Right. That's right. And so in that regard here, let's get back to our key conversation. So the key conversation is this, is that you have mere moments to make your pitch.
Right.
As a result of that, because you have only mere moments to make your pitch, you have to get to the opportunity of the pitch as quickly as possible. Here is the key. Investors want to know how much money you're going to be able to make them, how soon you'll be able to make them that money, and how you'll go about the process of making that money. It's pretty simple. Now, here's the deal. If I don't know how to do something, often I get confused about doing it. And I get flustered because I'm not sure. And I'll go through a whole lot of unnecessary actions in order to figure something out. My hope with this presentation today here is to show you it's actually very simple. There's no mystery to it. There's no magic to it. It's very simple. I think there's some issues here that happen with anybody making a new pitch, by the way. But here's the very distinction. When I'm hearing men who are unfamiliar with pitching versus female founders who are unfamiliar with pitching, the kind of pitches I hear from men are extravagant ideas with a big vision that's obviously something that can never produce. They start with this big picture idea. Let me tell you what we're going to do. We're going to change the world here, and we're going to be able to do this, and there's so much money that you're going to be able to make, and it's incredible because we're going to do this, 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 and this, and this. And they're going to say words like, blockchain and NFT here, and stable coin, and all this kind of stuff that, and I can read through all these pitches. Robert Fripp, Patricia's brother, gave me my most meaningful lesson on the guitar, which I don't know how to play. But he did give me a lesson. That lesson was how to hold a guitar pick. And Robert showed me how to hold a guitar pick in a particular way. And he said to me, you can tell a lot about a person by how they hold their guitar pick. And just holding the guitar pick by itself can tell you if you're relaxed, if you're in control, if you know what you're doing, right? It can tell if you're uptight. All these various things can just by somebody holding a guitar pick. So if Robert Fripp can tell a lot about you as a musician and even as a person by how you hold a guitar pick, I'm telling you, I can do the same thing by listening to your pitch. I know if you've done this before. I know if you know what you're talking about. I know if you can make this thing happen. And I know if you're the right person to give money to or could get money from. So here's the challenge for you. Making sure you're getting to the opportunity as quickly as you can is vital. If you go with a man who's talking about big picture opportunity, women do CV stacking. They do pitch prefacing and they do trauma dumping. That's how a female founder is unfamiliar with pitching. They go to stories. They start with a story. Men start with a vision, an opportunity. Women start with a story. Those are the three stories that we're talking about here that apply to all female founders for the majority. For the majority. You might think, how many pitches have I listened to? I listened to over probably, I thought it was 100 hours. It's actually 200 hours since May of listening to pitches. I'd say split between male and female. Let me tell you, if you get through all the prefacing and the storylines, all these things, if you get underneath that, the female founder pitches are far more solid overall than the male pitches that I'm hearing. So even though the male founders are talking about all these opportunities and wonderful things, when you get past that and you look at how they're actually going to deliver on this result here, a lot of them don't hold up. So here's the thing to discuss. The thing to discuss here is women have multiple natural advantages over their male counterparts that have nothing to do with their gender. It also has nothing to do with nurturing or being a mother or even the cliche of being multitasking. Nothing to do with any of those. On average, my experience is that women have higher levels of competence in their areas focused to their male counterparts. What does that mean? That means that they have far more insights, experience, and knowledge about what the subject is that they're trying to raise money for than their contemporaries also asking for money, more often than not. And so you think about it like this. I call it the competence gap, right? And so the idea is typically female founders have high levels of competence, low levels of confidence. The opposite is true for male founders. High levels of confidence, in some cases, pretty low levels of competence, right? And then obviously you have, and here's how I'm thinking about it. I'm thinking about, well, how can I say that? That's crazy. Because I listen to some of these pitches from these female founders who are asking for $10,000, $25,000, $100,000, right? And I looked at it and I said, if I was the CEO of that business, listening to how that business is organized, I'd already be figuring out who's going to be handling my IPO. Guys with the same level of competence here are asking for far larger deals. Guys with the same level of competence here are far more enthusiastic about their deservance of receiving investment. Okay, so how can we balance this out more? So we go from competence, we fill in this gap. We don't want to reduce the competence level, right? We want to raise the confidence level. Because if on average, the average woman is more competent than the average male founder, right? That gap in between is the opportunity for female founders here to win. So I'm not talking about being fair to women. This is not being fair to women. This is talking, this whole this program, which was really delicate for me to put together, to be sensitive and thoughtful and not seem like a jerk or what have you. But here's the deal. My job as a pitch professional is to help you win, your investors, to help you win your customers. And so the way to do this here is to show you where the opportunities are for your pitch. Opportunity for you as a female founder here is to level up your confidence. I'm going to show you a way to do that on this very call. Okay. So the next thing that female founders do in comparison to their male counterparts is they over-prepare. Female founders are so much better prepared when they make their pitch compared to the male people. It's not even a joke. They have all their stats, they have all their figures, they have their projections, they have their team in place, they have patents, they have all their documentation, all those things are prepared. Over prepared, far more prepared than they need to be at some of these events. They are so over prepared because of the lack of confidence. Well, what happens? Female founders say, well, what if I don't have this? Or what about this? Guys don't talk about that. Guys don't ask, what if I'm missing this? They don't care. They'll just make it up as they go. That's that confidence level that we're talking about, right? I can go into a pitch pretty unprepared here with a great deal of confidence because I'm a professional. I've been doing this for a long, long time. Okay, I can pitch almost anything to anybody. Doesn't mean that they'll buy it necessarily, but I can create an effective pitch for it, right? That level of competence comes from a great deal of practice. It's not even years of doing it. It's years of performance, years of doing it, years of taking action. And that's a problem that you can't make up when you're a female founder. You have to start somewhere. And so my hope here is that you don't spend years to figure this out, that you figure it out today. right now. Because the things I'm going to tell you to do in order to help you with your pitch here are easy to do. People spend hundreds of thousands of dollars with me to help them figure this out. Consider this an opportunity for you as a female founder to work with me in the future. Okay? This is not a public service. This is an advertisement for working with me. Because I think female founders' businesses is where it's at. It's the area here that has giant demand. It's the area that is growing. It's the area that there's the most opportunity. And if you're interested in investing, don't you want to have a great return? Don't you want to have the best possible return? The best possible return that you can have is investing in a female founder. Because overall, female founders are reporting higher returns than their male counterparts when it comes to startups. They hire women at a greater level. They have better returns at a greater clip. And the ROIs are more significant than their male counterparts. Maybe it's because they're more prepared. Maybe it's because of the lack of confidence and making sure that they have all their T's crossed and I's dotted, right? The other thing here that I'm noticing with female founders is they are more flexible and adaptable to collaborate with mentors and other people. Often when I hear the male counterparts here making pitches here, there's so much attachment to this idea and this vision. And any possible shift of an idea here is countered with you don't know what you're talking about. All right. There's limited collaboration with most male founders at this level compared to the female founders. Female founders are open to listening to ideas from folks who have been around the block. Female founders are open to apply this knowledge instantly to their pitches and their businesses to help them and move them forward. They just need to feel that they're talking with somebody that they trust. They need to feel that they're listened to. They need to feel like they're important. They need to feel respected. By the way, so do guys. Men need to feel all these things too. The trouble is that no difference really between the feelings of men and women, except women are abused. Women are neglected. Women get ignored. Women aren't given a chance. So if men were treated the same way as women, men would have the same problems. But we're not. And there's something called TAM, Mount TAM in particular, Mr. President, that we're going to get to as perhaps a reason why. Okay, so let's get into TAM. Let's do it right now. Okay, back to the big board. What is TAM? What is TAM? TAM is not the mountain where Craig lives in Marin. TAM stands for, what's TAM? Whoops, hold on. Okay, what is TAM? Oh, sorry. Well, I'll tell you what TAM is, but that's actually, we're talking about something else. TAM is total addressable market. Total addressable market. Total addressable market is the amount of opportunity that you have by how many people can spend how much money with you on an annual basis. If you are going to make a pitch to an investor, this is the absolute nearly the most important thing you need to do to get their attention. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm here to talk to you about a $38 billion opportunity that we believe we can get 22% of within the next 3 years. It's in an area here that nobody's talking about here. All there is competition here. They're all missing one thing. Who would like to know what that is? That's a pitch, you guys. That's a pitch. That's how you do it. Okay, that's how you do it. Not at the age of 13 here, I fell off my bike and skinned my... No, that's not how you do it. Okay, all right. How many of you want your daughters, your wives, your nieces, your aunts to be able to listen to this presentation? Okay, I hope so, because you guys, this is family right here that I'm talking to here. And the people that are important to you are the people that are also important to me, and I want them to have this knowledge. Okay, so also you have wives who are entrepreneurs. But this not only applies to investors, by the way, it applies to customers. If you're trying to close a customer and you start talking about your personal story, or you start prefacing, setting up your pitch to your customer, or you start doing a trauma dump on your customer, how likely do you think it is that they're going to give you the attention that you're asking for and give you a check or set up another meeting? Patricia is shaking her head no. She agrees, right? Not going to happen. By the way, guys, if you happen to be doing any of these things here, you know you can stop now, right? But this whole presentation here is for female founders, all right? And the people who care about female founders. And by the way, who should care about female founders? Investors. Why? Because there's money to be made with female founders, and plenty of it. The world is shifting, folks. The world is shifting in geography and in gender. And it is not a zero-sum loss. It is not. It is an and. It is an and. Because as we have more people who are making more money, that means more opportunity for everyone. That means there's money to be made for everyone. Here's the thing that women need to know, that female founders need to know. And by the way, it's actually something that I learned not too long ago, a few years back, that was really impactful for me too. There is room for you in the business world. There is room for you in what you have to offer the world, even if there's competition, even if there's heavy competition, because you have your own unique approach to solving challenges. And when you're in business, that's all you're supposed to be doing is solving challenges. Solving challenges that are important enough that people pay you. And they're important enough that they pay you enough money here that you can make a profit. Right? That's what we're all supposed to be doing. Now, when we talk about getting fundraising for social impact, maybe we can talk about that in the Q&A afterwards here. I do see a lot of men and women that's about even on social impact projects here. And when so the idea of someone saying, I've got this important project here that's going to help lift women up, or this important project that's going to help lift up poverty-stricken folks or a community of folks or what have you. I see that as the fourth area where people make mistakes, because I think they try to guilt or shame people into investing or paying attention, right? Investors do not get guilted or shamed into making investments. It doesn't work like that. But here's a little secret for you. If you figured out a way to make $1 on a social impact project, you're going to get investors' attention. Why is that? Because 99% of social impact pitches have no way to be sustainable, have no way to make money that I'm hearing over the past 100, almost 200 hours of listening to pitches. There's simply window dressing for somebody trying to hustle some money. So if you're doing a social impact project and it's important enough, here's the secret for you. Figure out a way to make money. Figure out why money is being wasted as a result of the way things are currently and how your approach can transform people's lives, but not both personally and socially, but financially. If you figure that out and incorporate that into your pitch, right, you're going to get people's attention, because investors would love to have a twofer, right? Make money and help the world. What's better than that? But there's folks who have these ideas for these social impact projects here. They don't focus enough time on how to make money. They just focus on, wouldn't it be great if, right? The answer is, sure it would. I'm not giving you any money. Figure out a way to make money and it would be really great. Terrific. Okay. So what are two things? So let's go into, I'm sorry, let's go one other thing here before we do that. I got to tell you how we're going to solve this problem. I forgot to give you the solution to this. Okay, so we got the total addressable market. Now, here's the big deal. Let's go back here. Let's go here. This is the big deal. This is the one that you want. This is why you came here today. Product Founder Fit, PFF. Product Founder Fit is what I think, it's only my opinion, but it's what I think is the reason why female founders are not getting enough attention on these investor opportunities. And what is Product Founder Fit? Product Founder Fit is the detailed analysis of the experience of the founder who is seeking investment. What does that mean? To have great Product Founder Fit, you need to have a successful exit in a business in the area in which you're currently seeking investment. What does that mean? What it means is that the best way to get investment money in Silicon Valley is to not need it. What? Okay. This is very clear. The best way to get investment dollars in Silicon Valley is not to need it. So what does that mean? That means that you're already damn successful. You've had a successful exit already from your previous business, right? And you are going down the track of an area that is related to the previous success that you've had, and you got a team of people who are all also experts with experience in their area. This is what we call a 100, right? You checked all the boxes. This is a green light. This is a go. This is a go. So you think about The Rock, or you think about Tom Cruise. You think about somebody who is a bankable star, that they sign on to do a movie and you know that movie's going to be a hit. Star power. People who fill seats, right? In a movie set situation, have product founder fit, right? So think about this. If investors want to give money who have previous experience with successful exits, who lacks that previous experience? People who haven't done it. If 2.3% of females are getting funding from VCs, that means there's a whole bunch of female founders who do not have product founder fit. Investors invest in people. Number one, can you deliver on this idea? If you are a successful person, I will even give you some leeway based upon not having all your ducks in a row, not all your T's crossed and I's dotted. If you have product founder fit, you get an incredible amount of latitude with product founder fit. You can have assumptions. You can do table napkin business plans. This is how you talk about this idea of people doing business plans on a table napkin and getting money. That's because they have product founder fit. They have experience in doing what they're doing. So the people who do not have product founder fit are the folks who have not been there before, or they have not even been on a team before. If you're trying to do a software startup and you've never been on a software startup before, you lack product founder fit. If you're doing a startup on pets, you got a new pet application here and you don't have a pet, you don't know how to do software, and you've never been on a successful exit, forget it. You don't have product founder fit. Don't ask for money. You ask for money based upon things that you have direct connection to, right? Now, if you have direct connection here, it doesn't mean that you have to have a successful exit or you are leading the company. You can simply be on a team. So if I'm a female founder today, starting out, and I just got out of college, I would be looking to get on a team right away. Find the thing that I love, that I connect with here, and go get on a team with a company that is going places. It doesn't even mean if they're successful or not. It means that they are established team, they're doing something. I mean, get on the very best team that you possibly can and play a meaningful role on that team, whatever that is. For me, when I first started off in design here as a lithographer's apprentice, I was getting coffee, I was sweeping floors or mopping floors, I was changing out chemicals. I would do anything that I possibly could to get into marketing and advertising and sales, anything. Too often we think that that's, too far beneath us. But if you're starting off here, the best thing that you can do is align yourself with a company that's going somewhere and be a part of that team. Because being a part of the team gets you one step closer to that product founder fit. If you're on a team that's been successful, boom, you get a benefit from it. You don't even have to be the CEO or the leader of that team to get a benefit of it. All you have to do is establish experience in that area. So think about the area that calls to you. If you're getting out of school or you're an early stage investor, I'd also challenge you here. Is what you're trying to get money for something that somebody else is already doing? If that's the case, why not consider aligning yourself with another organization and be on their team if you need money? Why not be on a team that already has money? Why not be on a team that already has people and maybe play a smaller role than the CEO? Because as soon as you start getting this product founder fit, you're one step closer to getting your investment dollars. If it takes you a year or 6 months to be on a team, that's gold. Because as soon as you start having product founder fit, right, you get taken more seriously from an investment community. And if you have to have the opportunity to be on a great team that has success, oh my gosh, that is a tremendous benefit to you. More important than where you went to school, more important than your personal story, more important than your CV or whatever trauma you've been through here, product founder fit. So let's bring us to here. Where are we right now? How are we doing on time? Okay, we're way over. I apologize here. So let me tell you here the 2 things that you need to do as a female founder to get your deals. They are, I could have just told you this at the beginning, but you would not believe me. If you get rid of of pitch prefacing, if you get rid of CV stacking, if you get rid of trauma, right, and you focus simply on the opportunity, what's left? What's left? You. Women founders, female founders are more focused on service, serving their customers, and solving challenges the customers have than selling. Women founders prefer to serve their customers and solve their problems than to sell to them. If you're focused around the idea of your customers and you're serving them and not selling them, you can relax. Because if you figured out a way to serve a whole lot of customers and make a whole lot of money by serving those customers, just by tapping into what it is that you want to do, you can just relax and be yourself. So let go of the pretense of selling, let go of the pretense of being impressive, let go of the pretense of not having product founder fit, or all those things here, and focus on how you serve your customers and make a buck. And you figured out a terrific way to serve an audience here in a novel way that's going to help you make a whole bunch of money. And these investors are not people who are going to just rain money upon you, but they are partners. Look at investors not as ATMs, not as salvation, but as partners in your development, in your entrepreneurial journey. Be you. Be yourself. If you're a service-minded person and you're worried about, I'm nervous about my pitch, you're here to offer an opportunity to an investor to make some money. You're giving them a gift. Investors are constantly looking for opportunities to generate money, to generate profit. There are not enough opportunities, great opportunities for investors to generate money and profit. You're giving them a gift by sharing your opportunity with them. You're doing them a favor. If it's not for inventors or makers or creative people, there is no reason for investors. Because of society and the things that we set up, mansions and yachts and sports cars and all these vacation, all these things here, makers and entrepreneurs are confused. They think that the investors are the important people. Wrong. That's all marketing. The most important people are the people who make a difference in the world by introducing new ideas and concepts and innovations here that change and transform people's lives. As founders of businesses, as creative people, as marketing people who make things, right? You are in the driver's seat. And if you articulate your value well enough here, you will have investors throwing money at you and begging to be a part of your team. That's how it works in Silicon Valley. So be yourself and show me the money. Show me the money. Show me the money! Woo! I appreciate your guys' attention today. Sorry we went over here. I hope that this was helpful and enlightening to you here. I appreciate you all very much. Thank you.
Antonio, that was awesome.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Hey, by the way, my cousin, who's an Eskimo, wanted me to thank you for, including the ice cube trays in the refrigerator that you sold him. Okay. Patricia.
Obviously, great program, lots of fun, very well presented. And will you please raise your hand if you, like me, love seeing the clean-cut, freshly shaved, in a suit and tie Antonio than the long-haired, bearded, casual Antonio? All right, good. Resounding success. Congratulations, that was great, Antonio.
Thank you, Patricia. My mentor here. I would not be here without you. I appreciate you so very much here for all the insights and teaching that you've given me here. And I hope you see that we're applying it.
May I ask a question, Tony? I'm a little confused because I'm an avid fan of Shark Tank. And on Shark Tank, they always ask about pitch preference and their background and their sob stories and everything, how they got there. If they're immigrants and, all that plays into the pitch. So why did they do that on that show?
That's a great question here. And there are a dozen people who already know the answer to that question, right? The answer here is it's TV. You're a TV executive. It's all about the drama. Right? TV is about stories. TV is about entertainment, not about education.
So
right? And so when you hear a
unrealistic.
traumatic story, you're like, what's going on? What did they do? What happened?
Right.
So it's about creating drama. So pitching on Shark Tank is not real life pitching.
Okay.
It's not real life pitching. It's fabricated pitching for entertainment purposes. And by the way, you don't want to be pitching on Shark Tank. You don't want to be pitching on Shark Tank. The idea of Shark, there's actually something worse than a shark. You know, when I did the pitch for Brudabun Software back in 1996, 95, 96, I did the repitch for Brudabun Software. And Brudabun Software was the world's largest children's edutainment software at the time. And they were going through some tough times. And so I did a repitch for them. We did CD-ROM. By the way, that CD-ROM for my pitch to new customers is in a museum now. That's how old I am.
Wow.
So, which is kind of fun. So what happened is that within 2 years of doing that, they reorganized themselves in a very wonderful way here, but they got purchased by Kevin O'Leary of Shark Tank fame, Mr. Wonderful.
Right.
And essentially Kevin O'Leary, by acquiring Brudabun for about $400+ million at the time, which seemed like a lot of money, essentially decimated the educational entertainment industry. And so there's a lot of information around Shark Tank and him doing that. So the issue here, in reality, it's all about the numbers. He wants to extract dollars here for himself and be able to return to himself and his investors. They don't care about the story. Are you making money?
Right.
Are you profitable? Do you have a great deal of opportunity ahead of you? Do you have the right team to execute? These are the things that investors care. And by the way, it does not matter if it's a female investor or a male investor. Both investors care about the same thing, how you make money. Now, women-led investor groups are more likely to give female founders a chance, right? To give them the benefit of the doubt, right? But you can't give a doubt when you've got other investors' money on the line. And so when I told you product founder fit is so vital and how to solve the problem, get on a team. Get on a team, right? Or promote this idea and get customers. So there's two ways, actually. You can get on a team or you can go get customers. Maybe if you already have an idea for your business, go get customers. If you can show that you have customers, if you show you have 100 customers for what you're doing, that could be even better than being on a team. As a matter of fact, I should probably change my presentation as a result of that. The fastest way for you to get investment money is to already have customers buying what it is that you have to sell. That already spend money and trust you here, and you're just needing the money to scale that up or to add more people to fulfill that demand.
Right. Guys, thank you.
You bet.
Hey, Antonio.
Yes, ma'am.
I took 4 pages of notes. Where were you when I started my business in yesteryear? But I want to tell you, okay, let me talk to you as the author. This should be a TED Talk. This should be on a video that you sell to all the MBA programs, all the women's programs. But on top of that, this is an article that should start as an article, be published everywhere, and turn into a book. And I'm happy to be your pitch nag and to get you to do that.
I'm going to take advantage of that. I'm honored by that, Susan. I'm floored. Thank you for that. Thank you. We'll do it. Patricia.
I'd like to know what Derek Arden thinks about that, because we're often talking about, I say to him, you're too English, and he says, you're too American. So, Derek, how does Antonio's message resonate from an English negotiator standpoint?
That's a really quality question, Patricia, and I think it's about mid-Atlantic, okay? So I think we're about halfway across the pond from San Francisco to Heathrow. Some of it is great, and I've made some notes, and some of it would be too much in people's faces. So, yeah. So I've got some great notes there, Antonio. Thank you. But I wouldn't, you need to talk to me before you pitch that in London.
Very good. I appreciate it. Thank you, Derek.
I have not a question, but Antonio, thank you for an excellent presentation. I as well took notes. And even though I'm not going for money with venture capitalists, a lot of it applies to, and Craig, I'm sure you would say the same thing, to working with our customers, being there for them in the real estate profession or any profession, be you a woman or a man. But I appreciate your research into this and your caring of how you articulated in some potentially sensitive areas. So you did a great job, and I thank you, and I took notes as well. So thanks.
Thank you, Betty. Actually, you make me think about a premise where telling a story is really helpful in the sales process. And if you're telling a story about your customer and the success that they'll have in working with you or applying your techniques or something, if that's the story that you tell, that's an absolutely acceptable story. You're bringing the customer into the story to envision themselves going through the process or going through the transformative experience or getting the benefit. That's the only situation in which a story before the pitch makes sense. But technically, that is the pitch within the story, right? Getting the customer to feel or to sense or to visualize working with you in a particular way. And I know that you do that often when you're talking to customers about visualizing themselves in a property or what they would like to see at the end of this transaction here, whether with the use of proceeds, of these what would you like to do with yourself? What's the challenge that you're trying to over? You do that already on an automatic basis here. So just want to throw that out there.
Thank you. That's a great point, because it's not about me and my story. They can read that on whatever, but it's about sharing the stories. It has such an impact about exactly what you said. So thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Mr. President, Anne Mahoney has had 2 hands up.
Oh, okay. Okay, Ann, why don't you go? And then I noticed Richard Chen has his hand up too.
Okay, well, piggybacking on what Susan Rowan said, your book, Close with Your Open, is this information in your book, Close with Your Open? And if not, and you do a different book, would you then talk to Derek Garden and say, this is how it's done in the United States, and this is how you have to model it a little differently if you're speaking to someone, let's say, in England?
Well, here's the good news. I've overseen pitch presentations on the entire continent of Africa. I've received pitch presentations on throughout India. In India, by the way, I'm happy to report to you that I'm known as Mr. Pitch. And nobody in Africa knows my name except Pitchfreak or PF.
Yeah.
So whether you're in Nigeria or Lagos or South Africa or in Senegal or in Kenya, over the past 3 months in particular, I've done a tour de force approach about getting this word out to folks around the world.
So then close with your
so right
open.
now, the amount of attention and invitation that I'm receiving is I don't have enough time to be available to the folks basically globally who've been inquiring about me. I haven't had any folks from the UK talk to me about what I'm doing here. And all I have to say to that is America. Okay, so America. Okay.
But then can you give us in one sentence what Close with Your Open, how that differs from what you did today?
Yeah, so Close with Your Open teaches people the process of how to create a 10-second pitch. And I'm calling it your tight 10. And so the process of Close with Your Open is focused around that introduction that you make during the course of your pitch. Okay. It's based upon science from YouTube showing that as people click on thumbnails and headlines in YouTube to watch videos, that 20% of the audience leaves within the first 10 seconds of clicking on a video. And in many cases, they leave within 2.5 seconds of clicking on a video. As a matter of fact, if you're on YouTube and you buy advertising on YouTube, an ad buy on YouTube is considered 3 seconds of viewing, which means that YouTube thinks that 3 seconds is enough for somebody to make a decision. And so I applied these concepts into the actual sales pitch. And what I discovered is too many people, because of CV stacking, because of pitch prefacing, because of trauma dumping here, and because of showmanship, if you will, right? And razzle dazzle, they don't get to the pitch enough. And as a result of that, they spend 3 minutes, 5 minutes talking the setup to their pitch. And if you know scientifically that people will lose their attention within the first 3 seconds, and you're on 5 minutes and you still haven't gotten to your pitch yet, or the opportunity yet, you can imagine people are shutting down. So close with your open is how to avoid people shutting down at the very beginning of your pitch and stick all the possible hooks in this fish that you can so that they're going to stick with you throughout the course of your pitch, and whether it's a customer or it's an investor. So is the process, the exact process that I use that helped FuzzleTube win their pitch is the exact process that I use for Jacqueline Carpenter to help turn around Ideal Restoration in 2010. That was over $100,000 a month in the red, and within 12 months they were profitable. And now since 2010, she will agree to share that it's well over $30 million in revenue that has been gained from that particular organization. And she is a female founder who is fierce and incredible. So, this works across the board. So 10-second pitch here. By the way, some of these pitches can be done in 3 seconds. Some of these pitches can be done faster than that. And so I'm always working, what is the fewest amount of words that I can say to get your interest?
All right, we have one.
That's the whole premise.
We have a question from Richard Chan, and then I see Randall Readers has his hand up. So why don't you guys wrap it up? We're at 8:56 now, so we'll probably run a few minutes behind schedule, but then we'll go ahead and end the recording after that.
Okay. Thanks very much, Antonio, for the presentation. I loved it very much. I had a point there about the service thing. So like, I mean, I hear that a lot of marketing, that's all about service there. Are there any times where you would do sales versus services, or like service as your way to push things there and stuff like that? Because that seems like it should be all encompassing. But do you ever see like sales to be helpful other than saying service and stuff like that there and stuff?
Great question, Richard. Thank you for that. So look, the best salespeople are people who want to help you solve a problem. The best salespeople are not the high pressure folks who are trying to get you to, dialing for dollars. Those are not the best salespeople. The best salespeople are the ones who are selling high ticket items that solve major problems here that transform people's lives. And even if you're selling, coffee mugs, right? And you are able to serve somebody in fulfilling a need that they have, versus you have to have this mug, right? All the most famous people have this mug. This mug is made from a certain clay here in a certain region here by a particular artist, and you just have to have it. It has to be part of your collection, right? That's one way to do it. The other way here is, hey, Richard, what kind of mug do you like? I hear you're in my mug shop here, and I understand you're looking for a mug today, and thank you for joining us here today. Is there a particular kind of, are you a coffee drinker or a tea drinker here? I'm curious, how might you use your mug? Total different approach, right? Here, I'm engaging you in some conversation, right? I'm getting to know you a little bit here, and based upon that knowledge, I might choose a different mug. I might say, oh, obviously you're an active person. Oh, you need to, maybe you might want to consider this here for a use case here. Here's the thing that this function here like this here, so you won't spill water, blah, blah, blah. I'm demonstrating things that may appeal to you based upon getting to know you, right? Great. And so the problem with selling is the mistake in selling is not learning about your customer, not caring about building a relationship, just trying to extract dollars, right? And so great salespeople, great service people, I generate sales, right? I sell, right? But the way that I sell is by serving people's challenges, solving people's problems here to a degree that they feel inclined to pay me for that, right? And so that's the distinction between the two. I hope that answers your question.
No, it does. Great. Thanks so much.
All right. Thank you, Richard. And we'll wrap it up with a question for Randall.
I think one thing, because we've got several of us who are professional speakers or educators here, I'm thinking the same technique applies to an informational presentation. Start with the conclusions. Don't worry about my vita, my credentials, or my background. If I'm talking to a farm audience and I say, if you spend $50 on this fertilizer, it's going to increase your yields and you'll make $150 at the end of the season. Isn't that true? Patricia, I see you shaking your head, yes. These techniques apply to speaking, not just to pitch.
For sure. Well, let me just throw a quick little thing. So if I'm going on stage, I'm going to say in the next 60 seconds, in the next 60 minutes, I'm going to show you how to create instant desire for your product or service. And if you hang on with me here, you're going to learn 2 techniques that will absolutely transform your lives in a meaningful way that costs you nothing to do and you can apply right away. Would you be interested to hang out for a little bit longer, listen to what I'm going to do? Right? So that is the opportunity by listening to my presentation. But if you start with, in 1963, I was born in a log cabin. My mother was very angry with me on a regular basis. 10 years later, I was in high school. And this little boy, Tommy Jones, here used to pull my pigtails. right? Here's the problem with this, right? If you're telling a story that is for entertainment purposes, great. But I'll tell you what, I'm working with veterans right now who are telling their stories, and these stories are traumatic stories. And what I'm telling them to do is figure out a way to teach something within this story. Figure out some kind of transformative process so that by the end of your story, you're actually going to provide an insight that people can apply. So you're not just trauma dumping on people. And look, the deal here is like, look, I'm not saying that these stories are not important. They are important, but they're very personal. These are things that affect people's lives in a deep and meaningful way. These are things that you care about people. Your heart, aches for these people, right? But if they're trying to tell their story, I want them to win. I want them to get more presentations. I want them to book more events. I want them to get out there and people to know and share their story. The way to do that is not trauma dump, and leave people in a lurch at the end. If you had to follow somebody who's doing a bunch of trauma dumping as a professional speaker here, you come out at a very low level here and you have to raise people up. Your work is much harder as a result of that, right? But if you have a transformative experience that has trauma in it, but I take you through it and teach you something at the end of it. By the way, you guys already saw that in action, which is Ryan Garza. Ryan Garza is applying my techniques for his story, which helps people move from this disturbed earth concept here, how to move from guilt, right, to forgiveness through his own story, right? Applying the concepts of finding IEDs in Afghanistan to finding IEDs of the mind that cause you guilt and want you to commit suicide. And his whole mission is to help eliminate veteran suicide as a result of that. So there's so many veterans right now that have a traumatic story, right, that we respect and we care for and we wish they didn't have. But if they're telling these stories in and of themselves here, they can really only do that amongst themselves, right? But if you come up with a transformative mechanism, a process in which you can teach people and share something that they can apply, then these veterans can get out into the community and start talking to everybody so everybody understands their story, how they're handling it, things that they can apply, and participate more in their recovery as they're moving forward in their life journey. Hope that helps.
Well, thank you, Antonio.
Thank you, guys.
That was an amazing presentation.
Amazing.
And I'm going to go ahead and end the recording right now, and I'll keep the room open for a few minutes. But again, Antonio, that was amazing. And I look forward to listening to the re-recording. So anyway, great job.
Thank you, Mr. President. Patricia,